Neglected for golden bro. But then family had to regret, because his fiance scammed them all. My dad insisted I go to my brother's wedding. The golden boy. He said he'd stop paying for my college if I didn't. They were shocked when I revealed I earned more money than him. My dad always treated me like I was invisible, the forgotten kid in the family. He was just obsessed with my brother, plain and simple. He kept going. Listen. I don't care if some fancy university accepted you. You're going to the community college. We don't want your brother getting jealous of you. Got it? So. Guess what? I just acted like everything was cool. I told him. All right. Dad. Fine. I'll go to that college on one condition. I get to stay in the dorms. So. I pulled a fast one on him. I pretended I was living in the dorms and attended that prestigious university on a scholarship he knew nothing about. But when he figures it out, he's gonna blow a fuse. Seriously. What would you do if folks who'd barely seen you for 3 years suddenly wanted you to show up and pretend to be part of the family for just one day? That'd be a tough spot, wouldn't it? I mean, it's always like this with my family, especially mine. Let me just start from the top. My name's David, and if you haven't guessed, my family's a total mess. And I'm not kidding, if you can even call it a family. What do you call people who brought you into this world, then basically ditched you when they found someone better? Is that even family? Really? Look. Instead of beating around the bush, I'll just say it. I could have had a happy family if my folks had treated both their kids the same. But nope. My parents are a bunch of unfair jerks. They've treated me like background noise my whole life. All because my brother, Dylan, was the healthier kid. I mean, Dylan was one of those cute, healthy babies who instantly grabbed everyone's attention, whereas I was the thin, plain-looking one nobody really wanted to pick up. But should stuff like that affect parents so much that they start playing favorites with their kids? It shouldn't. Right? But for my parents, Patrick and Merritt, it was totally different. Within a month of Dylan being born, he was their golden child, the baby everyone adored. I mean, he wasn't some genius or anything, he was just the better-looking one. The star of the show. So, everyone gravitated toward him, while I was usually just the sidekick. Standing off to the side. Completely forgot. You can probably imagine how awful my childhood was. My parents mostly ignored me, only covering the bare necessities, while my self-centered brother just soaked up all the attention. Dylan turned into a spoiled brat who only cared about number one, so you can get a pretty good idea of our relationship. I was the quiet, shy kid, and Dylan ended up being a big, fat bully. Can you even believe it? Your own little brother bullying you? Yeah. That was my reality. Dylan seemed to make it his life's purpose to make me miserable. Whether by throwing insane fits that made my parents ruin my plans, or by literally snatching away stuff I liked. Pretty messed up, right? It was already a rotten situation. Now, throw in a pair of biased parents, and you can see why my childhood was so rough. My parents were totally to blame for Dylan becoming such a spoiled kid. Dylan got tons of new toys, all the attention, and constant praise. But me? Never spoiled. My birthdays were just a formality. My achievements never really mattered, and my role in the family was basically to be like a background decoration. Back in 3rd grade, I got straight A's on my report card. I was super excited. You know? I thought, maybe I'd get some praise, or something nice. But when I showed it to my mom, all she said was, "That's good." Then she went on and on about this little painting Dylan made, saying we absolutely had to hang it on the fridge. Yep. Dylan's crooked dog drawing got prime real estate, while my perfect report card ended up in the junk drawer, with all the other forgotten stuff. So, yeah, that's how it was. I felt like that report card, basically invisible, while my brother was praised for every little thing. But it wasn't just little things. Oh no. Dylan called all the shots. Where we went for family trips. What we ate for dinner. Even what shows we watched. Every single time I tried to pick something, I got shot down. And that jerk Dylan would just rub it in my face big time. He was the boss. And I was nothing more than his errand boy. So, I guess you can see why I wanted to bolt from that nightmare as soon as I could. And I even had the golden chance. I was planning to go for my bachelor's degree, and landed a scholarship to one of the best schools out there. It was a really top-notch college. The type that pretty much guarantees you a solid career. Getting a full ride there? Man, that was the dream. But here's the kicker. It was a long way off. Like, multiple states away. And just like everything else in my life, my folks just shut it down. Second part. Wanna know why? It was Dylan. Of course. My folks even pushed for me to go to the community college right here in our state, saying it offered better chances and more flexibility. Their reasoning? Dylan, who wasn't exactly a whiz kid in school, might feel bad that I had the chance to get into a top-notch university, and he didn't. So, I should just stick around here. What was stopping him? He could have busted his butt, just like I did, and gotten what he wanted, but none of this made a lick of sense to my parents. They just told me I had to go to community college. Can you believe how crazy this whole thing was? Deep down, I figured they were doing this just to keep me from outshining Dylan. It was like they knew I had potential, but they just decided to ignore it on purpose. It seemed like actually supporting me would somehow mess up Dylan's image as their golden child. Why else would they try so hard to keep me at the community college, when Dylan, who wasn't half as ambitious as me, got all the support in the world? It was like I wasn't supposed to be more successful than him. That just wasn't in their plan. But did I fall for that nonsense? Nope, no way. I'd already made a bunch of big sacrifices to put up with my family's crazy, unfair ways. But I decided enough was enough. I told my parents I'd only go to the community college if they let me live in the campus dorms. My parents agreed, a little too happily, thinking they'd convinced me to stick around at the community college. But did they? Really? Not a chance in heck. I took the scholarship and moved to a whole other state, all while my parents thought I was just going to a college close by. The best part was, the big deal university I got into had the finance program I wanted. And it only took 2 years. The community college would have taken 4. So that was perfect, since it meant I'd finish school way before my parents ever thought I would. Honestly, it was the smartest move I ever made. Not only did I get out of the mess my parents had made, but this university was like the top of the mountain when it came to success. I'm telling you this because soon after I graduated, I landed a job paying 6 figures. And I've been with that company for a year now. Things are really looking up for me. I'm about to get a promotion, too. I did it all. The scholarship paid for 70% of the costs, and I used the money my dad sent to cover other bills. Now, I'm living a fantastic life. My dad still sends me cash, thinking I'm a student at the community college, and I haven't told him to stop. I know it's a bit messed up, but I see it as payback for the last 3 years. I've barely talked to my family. Just a few, how are you doing calls here and there, and I'd visit home once or twice during holidays to keep them from getting suspicious. Other than that, they haven't bothered me much, and I've managed to steer clear of them by saying I was swamped with schoolwork. They don't seem to care anyway. I mean, why would they? They had their golden child, after all. My parents probably enjoyed having one less kid to worry about, since I was out of their hair. I was actually pretty happy with how things turned out. Sure. It stung a bit, sometimes that my folks didn't even notice I'd moved across the country. But that sadness was easily beaten by the peace of not having their negative vibe nearby. To be honest, I did miss having a real family. Not one like mine that was all messed up, but one where people actually cared about me. Even with great friends and fun stuff to do, I still felt like something big was missing. But fixing that seemed like a tall order. Until today. This morning, my dad called out of the blue. He told me Dylan was getting hitched and he needed me to show up a few days early to help get things ready. I was floored. Was my own father really asking me to come home? I'd dreamed of this for ages. Especially when he said I was part of the family and that he wanted everyone there for Dylan's big day. It really hit me. My parents never really treated me like family, their world revolved around themselves and Dylan. But now, my dad, actually wanted me at the wedding. Getting some praise from them was a lot to take in. But then I remembered these were the same folks who practically ignored me my whole life. Even now. They had no clue. Their oldest son lived clear across the country. Did I really want to go back to them? Just to be brushed aside again, like always? So, here I was. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. What would you do if you were me? I do miss having a family connection, and it would be great if they cared for me once. But the thought of going back just to have my hopes crushed again? That scares me to death. Should I just go to my brother's wedding, just for the sake of family? Or should I stick to my guns, stay far away, and protect myself from getting hurt again? Before we got deeper into this, it had been 2 days, and I had a lot of time to chew on what to do. Ultimately, I chose to keep my peace of mind. Even if some of you might not agree with my choice, I decided not to say yes to my dad's invitation for Dylan's wedding. And honestly, it feels like the smartest thing I've ever done. Just a heads up, my parents haven't changed a bit, and they never will. So, let me pick up where I left off in my first post. After giving it some thought, I just texted my dad. All I said was I couldn't make it. No long explanations. No excuses needed. Truth be told, I wasn't going. Period. I figured he'd react, but I didn't expect the mind games to kick in so fast. Within an hour, my phone blew up with texts. First, my mom tried to make me feel bad. She asked if I really wanted to miss Dylan's big day, if I wanted to be that kind of brother, and how bummed Dylan would be if I wasn't there. She went on about how much it would mean to Dylan to have his older brother around. Seriously. She also tried to pull the "you only get one family" card. But here's the thing. Dylan's big day meant zip to me, because Dylan never gave a darn about any of my big moments. Not a single one. And yeah, you only get one family. But that's only if they actually act right, you know? So, I told my mom the same thing. I wasn't coming. When the guilt trips didn't work, my dad switched to his own weird tricks. He tried to play it cool at first, saying stuff like how families should stick together in situations like this. When I still didn't budge, he decided to get nasty. He called and straight up said that if I didn't show up for Dylan's wedding, they'd stop paying for my tuition. He said they couldn't have people gossiping about how one of their sons wasn't there for such an important event. Basically, they just wanted to keep up appearances, to look like a happy family for their friends and neighbors. As always, everything was about how things looked, not about me, not about Dylan, but about what other people thought of the family. That's when I totally lost it. I mean, how incredibly selfish can someone be? Threatening to pull my college money just so I'd go to a wedding? It was beyond ridiculous. Especially since I didn't even care about any of the cash they sent me. I shot back at my dad. Go ahead. Stop paying for college. I'm not coming to the wedding. And nothing you say or threaten is going to change that. I still hadn't told them I'd graduated a year ago and was living states away, pulling in a 6-figure salary, living a life they could never have given me. I didn't want them knowing how good I had it, or where I was, because they'd just mess everything up. I know I have to tell them the truth, and I will soon. But right then, I was having too much fun. My refusal to go to Dylan's wedding, even with my dad's warnings, just made him blow a gasket. He ranted about how ungrateful I was, how I'd always been difficult, and how he planned to yank my name from the local college to teach me a lesson. He said it like it was some huge threat, like being pulled from a place I'd never even set foot in would ruin my life. He had no clue the truth was the exact opposite. Honestly, I couldn't stop laughing. I could have told him I'd never even attended the local college. But where's the fun in that, right? So now, I'm just waiting for my dad to go and try to withdraw my name from a college where I was never even enrolled. I'm honestly waiting for his reaction when he finds out I don't need him or his money anymore. That's going to be wild, and it's only a matter of time before my phone rings with another round of insults. I seriously can't wait. Anyway, I'll keep y'all updated on what happens next. So long, man. I know it's only been a day since I last checked in, but the crazy drama in my life just got even crazier. After my last post, I had a gut feeling my old man would take my refusal to go to Dylan's wedding pretty seriously. Turns out, I was spot on. It all kicked off this morning with a phone call from him, and boy, was he mad. He was steaming mad and didn't waste a second grilling me about where I'd been all this time and what the heck I'd done with all the cash he was supposedly giving me for college. It was like watching a little kid have a full-blown meltdown because he didn't get his favorite toy, only this time it was my dad. Totally losing it over everything happening. So, apparently, after our last talk, my dad actually went down to the community college. Yep. That's when things got real interesting. He went there to pull my name from the school, just to teach me a lesson, he thought. The guy was so out of his mind he honestly thought yanking my name from college and hitting pause on my studies would make me show up for Dylan's wedding. Clearly, he had it all wrong. So, naturally, when my dad showed up at the community college, he got a massive shock. The community college had zero record of me ever being enrolled there. Man, I bet that was a sight to see. My dad was standing there, trying to cancel my enrollment, only to find out David wasn't even there. I bet that little revelation hit him hard. Right in the gut. On our call, you could totally hear how mad he was about getting embarrassed at the college. He wanted to know where in the world I'd been for the last few months, and what I'd done with all that dough. But honestly, the whole thing was so wild, I just couldn't stop chuckling. After more nasty comments from my dad and me just waiting him out a bit, I decided it was time to spill the beans. I told him I'd actually graduated a year ago. With a scholarship. And yeah, the money he'd been sending for my college costs had been a big help. Then I hit him with the real shocker. I told him I was now earning a six-figure salary, making more cash than he did. When he asked if I was joking, I could tell he was bummed, but he quickly saw I was dead serious. The idea that I wasn't some struggling student anymore, but a grown man doing well for himself, must have been a tough one for him to swallow. I was ready for whatever he threw at me. The second my dad got what I just said, he just blew up, yelling that I was a traitor for keeping them out of the loop. He started rambling about all the stuff he'd supposedly done for me, only to face this betrayal. Done so much for me? Was he talking about how he and my mom ignored me for years just to dote on their favorite kid? Then he came up with the most insane idea ever. He said the only way he'd forgive me was if I went to Dylan's wedding and made sure nobody talked smack or spread rumors about the family. I couldn't even believe it. This dude was still all about how he looked to others. I have no idea why he was suddenly so hung up on the family's image. It never seemed to bother him before. Anyway, I just told him I didn't need his forgiveness. And I sure as heck wasn't gonna be part of their little fake happy family act. My dad, still fuming, kept trying to get me to go to the wedding. He looked pretty frantic by then, but I wasn't budging. I flat out told him there was no way in hell I'd go to the wedding of the guy who made my childhood a living nightmare. Not only that, but I told him I was sick of all the drama and was cutting them out of my life. My dad was stunned, but I wasn't shutting up. I'd spent my whole childhood just taking it silently, but not anymore. I told him I didn't want any of them calling me ever again, and they could go to their golden son's wedding without me, while I went on enjoying my life. My dad tried to hit me with the emotional stuff again, talking about how I was his son and needed to be at my brother's wedding, but I wasn't having any of it this time. But I was done. I just let him know he had only one son, since that was the one they all seemed to care about, and they could keep it that way as I happily cut ties. I didn't even give my dad a chance to say anything else. I hung up quick and blocked his number. And that's where I'm at right now, officially done with my family's toxic vibe. It's a mix of feelings. 'Cause I never thought it'd come to this. But I'm also kinda satisfied, knowing it had to happen. At least now I can finally live a chill life. And if things work out, maybe I'll even start my own family someday. So, it had been over a month since I cut ties with my family. I figured I was done with their games and manipulation, but nope. They clearly couldn't just let it go. A few days back, I got a random call from a blocked number. It was my mom, and she was a total mess, crying her eyes out. I'd blocked all their calls, so this one caught me off guard. I decided not to hang up because I thought something really bad had gone down, but it wasn't anything like that. She started going on about how much she missed me and just wanted her son back. She said she didn't care about anything me or dad had done, it was all water under the bridge to her. She just wanted me back in the family. I was totally confused. I mean, where was all this energy before? When I told them I was cutting them off, they didn't bat an eye. And now mom wants to make nice? Kinda fishy, right? So, I just ended the call, telling her I'd hit her back later. I felt like something was seriously off, so I called up my aunt, my mom's sister, to see if she knew anything. What she told me was wild, and it confirmed everything I suspected. Apparently, Dylan's wedding was a total train wreck, a huge disaster. His beautiful-looking fiancé turned out to be a full-fledged con artist. But before the wedding, she convinced Dylan, my folks, and some other relatives to throw all their savings into some shady, once-in-a-lifetime investment. And guess what? It was all a scam. She took the cash and vanished. No wedding. She's gone. And so is our family's money. But that wasn't even half of it. My aunt also told me that my parents were in even deeper trouble than I'd imagined. Turns out, my dad stirred up some major trouble with an employee and their family, which caused a huge hit to his business, which was already on its last leg. And then, ding ding ding. It all made sense. This is why he was so gung-ho about inviting me to the wedding. He wanted to save face by showing off how much he valued his perfect family, and all those good morals. But of course, that didn't fly. This whole Dylan and fiancé mess just piled on more bad news. So basically, they were bleeding cash everywhere. And to top it all off, they put their house up as collateral for a loan, trying to save the business. But that blew up in their faces too, and now they'll probably lose their house. They had to move into some rundown trailer or a tiny studio apartment. 'Cause that's all they could afford. Now, it was all crystal clear to me. Mom didn't call because she missed me or wanted her son back, they desperately needed me. They figured out I was doing well for myself and wanted to use me as their backup plan. I got it all. They were fresh out of ideas, and I was their last resort. So, I wasn't falling for that. I wasn't going to get pulled back into their drama, especially now that I'd seen the full story. They didn't care about me because they were too busy bending over backward for Dylan and his whims. But get this. My parents are now duking it out with Dylan because they're pinning all the blame on him for the whole wedding disaster. For all the cash they blew. It's actually kinda hilarious. Their golden boy, the one they obsessed over, totally messed everything up. And to be honest, it actually made me smile that they were finally seeing where they messed up. Anyway, I couldn't care less. I'm staying out of that whole mess. After my mom called, I blocked her number again. I wasn't letting her mess with my head. But did this stop my parents from trying to get in touch? Nah. No way. They were desperate and wouldn't take no for an answer, just couldn't handle things not going their way. My parents ended up showing up at my place. Don't even ask how. I'm not sure how they got my address, but I bet they hounded some of my old buddies for it. But the how isn't the point. The point is, they showed up at my door, talking about family values, saying I was their responsibility as their older son, and now, somehow, they were mine. I shut the door right in their faces. Of course. They pleaded for my help, claiming they were broke and had blown their last dime on a flight to see me. Sucks for them. But I wasn't biting. But wait. There's more. A few days later, Dylan showed up at my place, practically bawling and begging for a hand. He mumbled about missing his big bro being in his life. I'm not sure what big brother he was talking about, because all I remember is him being a total jerk and bullying me. I told him off, but he kept on begging, saying mom and dad were gonna ditch him soon, 'cause they were mad at him for causing all this trouble. It was pointless. Dylan got the same treatment as my folks. I locked the door right in his face, telling him if any of them came back, I'd call the cops. Since then, I haven't heard a peep from any of them, and honestly, I don't give a flip. I am completely done with this messed up family. It's kinda sad things went down like this with my family, 'cause that empty spot they left will always be there. But I'm not putting up with their garbage anymore, just for the sake of family. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you. Lesson. You don't owe anyone your loyalty or love when they've only shown you disregard or treated you as invisible. My whole life, I was pushed aside in favor of my brother, the golden boy, and treated like I didn't matter. It took years for me to finally realize that I deserved better than being used for my family's image or financial security. And when they needed me most, after everything they'd done to me, I chose to protect my peace over their manipulative requests. Family is supposed to support you, not use you. The idea that blood means you're obligated to stick around and accept mistreatment is toxic. I stopped chasing approval from people who never cared about me, and once I did, my life transformed. Now, I have peace, independence, and a future on my own terms. I hope this story serves as a reminder. You don't need to stick around for people who don't treat you right, no matter how hard it seems to walk away. What do you think about my decision to cut ties with my family? Have you ever had to distance yourself from toxic relatives or people who were supposed to love you? How did you handle it?